everyone, and welcome to October Awareness Month. In October, we're trying to bring awareness to a bunch of different issues, such as attention deficit and hyperactive disorder, autism, learning disabilities, dyslexia, mental health, and Down syndrome. Today, I'm speaking with Simon Roza, and he and I are on a crusade to help educators and parents have a better understanding about some of the issues that come up with raising with children, especially children with exceptionalities or the funky learners that are a little bit different from the rest, and we need to take a different approach. So today we're focusing on what the difference is between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And before we do that, what I want you to do is take a moment to like the Garforth Education Facebook page and join the Exceptional Learners Facebook group, because then you'll have a better understanding and awareness of what Simon and I are doing to help each other out and help you as a parent or an educator out. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning, Dr. Kay, and happy Thanksgiving for yesterday.
Thank you.
How was the turkey?
Very tasty. Can still smell the turkey smell in the house.
Oh, I bet you can.
And we can eat it for a couple of days too.
Oh, I just love that smell. A whole home full of those wonderful smells. Oh, wonderful to be here. Wonderful to see your smiling face again. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. There's quite a few teachers who know me because I was always so excited about a growth mindset. I actually came around a growth mindset from a very different kind of angle. You see, I loved all that that literature around self-improvement. And Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and all the way back to Stephen Covey, etc. And I loved that whole idea about self-improvement. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could get that across to kids early? A bit like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the work on entrepreneurial kids. And then when I found a growth mindset, I went, oh my gosh, this fits in exactly. The secret of success and the difference between successful kids and unsuccessful kids is all about a growth mindset. And then I came across the work of Carol Dweck.
Well, and there's so much that we can do inadvertently to promote that fixed mindset without even thinking about it. So as educators and as parents, we need to become more conscious about our comments and make sure that we're not saying that it can't be done because of this reason. We're saying this may make it harder, but you can still do it. You're in control of your ability to learn. And more that we can do to help promote that.
My turn to talk. Well, along with that too is that the huge change in perception and understanding that came across with neurology, and all the work around neurologists and MRIs and understanding that the brain is plastic, the plasticity of the brain. And at the same time, I read some great books about people who had incredible accidents but were able to retrain their brains and do different things. And of course, that has huge implications, that IQ is not stable, and you can change the way you think literally by just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the cognitive behavior therapy and the mindfulness, right? I mean, I think we should take a minute to just discuss what a fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is. And I like to think of a fixed mindset as someone who says, no, I can't do it because, or I'm not that smart, or that person can't do it because of this. And that's a huge thing that's important to think of, especially when we're talking about these disability awareness months, because saying, oh, that person can't do this because they have ADHD. No, you're putting that limit on them, not the diagnosis. It means that it may be harder for them. But if you're telling them that they can't, then they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I can't do it. I can't do it because of this. And so I'm not gonna try. But that growth mindset means, you know what? I can do it if I work hard at it. So it's that little engine that's saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, if I put the effort and the work into it, it'll pay off. And it'll be, you know, trying to figure it out. And yes, I may come up against obstacles, but that doesn't mean I can't work hard and work through them or past them, especially with support.
Mm. Oh, look, no, I love it. It's so refreshing talking to you. You kind of go, it's good food for my soul. It really is. I love it. Yeah, it permeates everything that you do. And it's, well, to me, I've got a definition here. A person with a growth mindset believes they can improve their knowledge, skills, and talents if they work hard and try new things. Whereas a person with a fixed mindset lacks the confidence in their own learning and believes they cannot improve on their current knowledge, skills, and talents. And I'd probably like to add their situation too. You know, you actually are in control of your life, or those who feel out of control. So sometimes you have a victim language. I think words and language are just so powerful. And the words and language around a growth mindset saying, I can, but I just can't do it yet, is really powerful. Like, because it has still says you have faith in there. And there's all that work around grit, around, you know, just digging in and getting it done. But it doesn't happen overnight. That takes quite a while to embody, you know, that whole growth mindset. I had a young girl the other day say, oh, I just don't want to be positive and happy. You know, why should I just be positive and happy? Okay. Oh, no, you can be quite happy being sad. That's okay. But be positive. You're going to feel sad about it. She's a young teenager. I had to go there to come back. But it's just how you frame things, isn't it? And how you can try and reframe those words instead of being an absolute no to a, well, yeah, there's a possibility.
Well, and knowing that, you know, as teachers, it's very, at least, you know, earlier on, we're like, oh yeah, well, girls can't do math and science. They do the arts and English stuff, and boys do math and sciences. And it kind of perpetuated this thing. And they're having that fixed mindset that, oh no, you're a girl, so you can't do this, or you're a boy, so you can't be artsy and, you know, enjoy these things. And I think at least society is starting to move away from those, but it's very hard to move past it, especially when you have people from an older generation that still have those fixed beliefs that, you know, pink is for girls and blue is for boys, or, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm covering so many issues here, and I think we could do an entire series on them quite easily off the top of our head. But I think you're talking about, and no, I mentioned this yesterday, and I had a session with EB talking to the kids yesterday, that language is always changing and evolving. And our language now is becoming way more inclusive and creating more opportunities. The words that our grandparents and parents used have evolved and changed. And sometimes we use them, we kind of go, oh, gee, I'm not too sure, it grates against us. And I bet our grandchildren will look back on us and go, oh, those words, you know, Simon Dr. K used, oh, you know, they meant well, but I tell you what, they were just completely off track, because language is completely evolving. But we are becoming more inclusive. And I think we see that too, that the language was exclusive. So if you're a girl, that's all you could do. Now it's much more inclusive, and you have greater opportunities too. So yeah, it is all about that piece. You reminded me, I wanted to touch on something too that I'm really passionate about, and that's that labeling, not just of girls and boys, but of I hate saying it, but I'm using the social context to describe disabilities and all the words that we use around disabilities. And I was talking to kids about it yesterday, saying, you know, it's a person first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the autistic community at the moment, but just the other, the ADHD is just at the moment, that you can be someone with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
The ADHD doesn't just define you. you kind of define the ADHD, so you kind of control it. So to me, that's also a positive thing. I often talk to kids and parents saying, ADHD is an understanding. It's not an excuse. It's not, you need to understand where you are and then embrace those challenges and move forward. And you can do that with a growth mindset. It's about, is it fair is usually the next thing. Well, it's not fair. Well, it's not fair, I suppose, that I wear glasses and, couldn't sail or sailboard when I wanted to or play rugby. And I wasn't tall enough. But, this life, unfortunately, is about being different. Otherwise, they'd all be as good looking, as intelligent as us, Dr. K.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, and, going back to it, the fixed mindset is something that is very easy to develop, especially if you have an exceptionality, because so many people are saying, oh, you're this, oh, you're that, and letting it define you. So then you allow it to define yourself and not seeing it as a piece of who you are, just as if, like, I have blue eyes and I have red hair, I have dyslexia, but I'm so much more than that, right? And if I allowed my mindset to be fixed, and then I never would have pushed myself further. Right? And I guess my favorite saying that really helps me with that growth mindset is success is the best revenge.
Ooh.
And for all those that told me that I couldn't because of my dyslexia, I said, well, watch me.
That comment gets me in so much trouble when people say, what can we do about it? We can't do anything about it. I go, don't get me started. We can. We just haven't found the solution for it yet. Look, yeah, it's very empowering, but it is hard to maintain. It's something I feel you've got to work at. Now, you mentioned those labels in society, but also the media. I mean, the media, we know it's sensational. We know that negative sells, so that's why they do it all the time. But when you're completely confronted time and time again with all the negatives, you start being influenced by that and going, well, this world is full of negatives. And when you start believing a simple little comment like that, you start seeing more negatives. And then you become more fatalistic and you become more rigid and more fixed again. Whereas if you saw possibilities, you go, well, maybe there is. And the more that you see good, the more you find of good, the more that you find of bad. So I think, if you think about, I've had success and I've had a little bit of a taste of it and I'm going to get there and be even more successful, you will. What's that famous saying? Whether you think you can't or you think you can, you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling, I'm sure someone will correct me on it, tell me, but it really says, if you think you can, well, you will. It's really that simple. And if you think you can't, well, you're not going to. It's just not going to happen. But it's all about that. I hate that word resilience now. It's just been overused so much. But I do like the word grit, getting into it. Anyway, sorry, I've carried on.
Right. I was just going to say that, it can be very challenging when you're working with someone that has that fixed mindset and, moving them towards that growth mindset. And a lot of our students that have that learned helplessness and that have learned, if I say I can't do it, I'm going to get that help. And they're going to basically do it for me. You need to take that opportunity and say, you can't do it because of your attitude. Let me help you and show you how you can succeed so that we can build on success. Anita Archer, who's a science of learning or a learning theorist, says that success breeds success. And it does, right? Once you get that first taste of success and you gain that knowledge that, if I work hard and I'm diligent, and yes, it may take longer. Yes, it may be harder than I think it is for everyone else, but I can still do it if I put my mind to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's not just people in your workplace. It might be people you live with can have a very fixed mindset, and that can influence you, and that can add to a real clash. But you pointed then again to the language, because it's language that can really create the thoughts around it. And I'd love to spend another session on it. I've got a few there. I suppose someone with a growth mindset might be saying, instead of saying, I can't do this, they'd be going, okay, what am I missing? You know, what piece of the puzzle? And instead of saying, I'm too dumb to do this, I might say, I'm going to try a different strategy. Or they might say, I'm almost there, I'm on the right track. And I tell you what, I'd love to have a whole session with you on the learning pit. I think the learning pit and the growth mindset go so beautifully together. It's a wonderful match. I think like broccoli, what did you say? Broccoli and walnuts and...
Oh, the Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, the Brussels sprouts, sorry. Oh, I'm still drooling about. I'm going to get to Canada and have a Thanksgiving and having a real one. I'll keep persisting. You know, I'll keep on trying. They're the words around a growth mindset. And there are strategies too, like I'll go back to an easier one, or I'll ask for help, or I'll ask my friends for help. Or, you know, it's saying, look, I haven't got this yet, but I will get it. I can train my brain to get there. And I think the biggest one for me is understanding that mistake is just a natural part of learning. Making a mistake doesn't stop you. Making a mistake kind of realigns you with where you need to be going. And, you know, we had teachers right across Australia, I think certainly across New South Wales and Queensland, really embracing a growth mindset. We had charts all over the place and whole schools were talking about it. But it fell down for me when teachers didn't model it themselves. When teachers were seen to have a fixed mindset, kids were going, hang on a minute, you're saying this but doing this. And you're acting in this way. So it's more than just understanding what a growth mindset is. It's actually really embodying it. It's not something a mask you can just pull on. It's probably a real way of thinking, and it's a real way of living. Anyway.
And then also there is, there's nothing wrong with saying right now I can't. That doesn't mean that you have a fixed mindset, and it's completely all right to say right now is too much and I need a break. And that's realizing your limits, but you can still realize your limits and have a growth mindset and say, you know what, right now I need to take a day for myself. Right. And then I can go back to it with a fresh set of eyes. And that's one thing that I think it's really important to instill when we're talking about this, is saying that it's okay not to give up, but to take a bit to refocus and learn when you need to do that.
Yep. I do think it makes kids so more resilient. And some early studies I can remember reading about, there are a number of kids going through the system at the moment who are doing a lot of tutoring, getting wonderful marks for their HSC, but getting to university and then kind of falling apart because all of a sudden they have to be self-directed rather than directed. They become completely reliant, and that's actually kind of a fixed mindset in some ways. So if you have a growth mindset and you can bounce back from adversity, you can bounce back from your failures, then it means that because bounce back and recover again.
Yeah.
Those kids that have never fail big time sometimes.
Well, it's also our responsibility as educators to give them that opportunity to learn from failure, and also say, look, as you're getting older and getting closer to being in post-secondary, if that's your choice, you need to take ownership of more of the responsibility. I can't have all these scaffolds in place for you. up until the day you walk out of the high school doors, because as soon as you enter the real world, they're going to be gone. And you're just going to be too overwhelmed, right? So it's giving them that ownership of some of the responsibilities and knowing how to do that gradually.
Actually, that's a whole nother conversation too,
I
isn't
know.
it? Surviving through high school and then transitioning to the workplace. That's a whole new conversation. Well,
thank you very much. I am sure we will be doing this again shortly.
I have a feeling we will be.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you so much to Simon for joining me. And I have just made this available so you can see how you can contact us in the future. It has our Instagrams, Twitters, ways that you can reach us if you want more support in these areas. So take care and have a great day.
Thanks, bye.